All right. New African perspectives coming up right about now.
If you could see what I see, our community and unity, no frustration from brutality, with our black nation a reality.
This is my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, is my perspective.
And welcome everybody to the New African Perspective, the show that is dedicated to the liberation of New African people. I'm your host, Brother Prophecy, but of course I'm not by myself. I have the intelligent, wise, powerful warrior queens with me, and they're the President and Vice President of the Republic of New Africa, and they are none other than
Mama Io, free the land.
and we are part of something called the New African Independence Movement. And by now, you know that we struggle for land, independence, self-determination, reparation, all of that good stuff that adds up to freedom. But today is a special day because it's none other than the Earth Strong Day of the one and only, the only one, Mama Io. How you doing, Mama Io?
I'm feeling real elevated and real good today. Oh, so you have some of them pictures in your
Yeah, no doubt.
files,
You know
huh?
you know you're a supermodel.
Thank you, thank you.
That's
I,
right.
I
That's
I
right.
appreciate it. I
So
appreciate it. I appreciate all the love and good wishes for today. It's it's
no doubt,
it's a,
no doubt,
a
no doubt.
blessing, a blessing to be alive in the movement. Just being a part of everything, the dynamics that are going on in this world today. It's wonderful to be a part and tuned
Def-
in.
definitely. We know you having a good time on your 25th birthday. Uh,
Of course.
but man, got me all twisted. Like, what are we supposed to be doing now? We are supposed to be doing the show. Madam President, summer.
Yes.
No, you know what? You know what? Before we do that, we've been starting the show off by talking about the new African creed every week, and we're up to creed number 5. What's that creed?
I believe that the fundamental reason
Reason our
continues
oppression continues is that
that
we,
as a
as a
people
people,
lack the
lack the power
full
to
hour.
control our lives.
Definitely. I believe that the fundamental reason our oppression continues is we as a people lack the power to control our lives. Uh, that is extremely true and important and specific to our struggle and specific to what we ought to be doing as far as to correct the things that we need to correct. So, what y'all think about creed number 5?
There's so much to say because we're saying that the reason why we're oppressed is because we do not have power. Power, in my humble assessment, is related to the land. Power comes
Mhm.
from land, and power comes from the potential of the people that live on the land. We don't have the land. That's why our battle cry is free the land. We're trying to get our people and ourselves to a point where when we are struggling and striving to free the land, we have to free our minds in order to do the work, to be productive, to be, not only productive, but to be, I guess, blessed with everything that comes from the land as well as the people. I yield.
Right. Exactly. And when the creed is saying we as a people, the reason our oppression continues is that we as a people lack the power to control our lives. It's talking about lack the power, the system to control our lives. We have all the divine power. We can. The whole point is to take all of our skill set that we do have right? And give it to ourselves. That's the power move, right? In this particular system, we lack the power to control our lives. Well, how do we regain that power to control our lives? As we do for self, and we give our energy, our power, our gifts, our talents, our superpowers to ourselves. Because that's the reason why we lack the power, because we giving our power away. So we lacking it because we giving it away. So to some place it does where it does not benefit us.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that power that we're giving away is benefiting individuals who have collectively benefited from our exploitation. And I always say, anytime people who control the very resources and institutions that govern your lives, uh, if that is controlled by individuals who benefit from your exploitation, it is very difficult for you to collectively solve your problems. So again, our ancestors did it again with creed number 5.
Mm.
We got to be able to control our lives. It starts and it ends with control. And that's what we got to fight for. That's why we say free the land, because the foundation of freedom is land. You got to
And that's a
control land.
and that's a very, very good word. That phrase that says we lack the power. Remember back in the day when we were saying black power, black power, black power. It
Mm-hmm.
is it was there for a reason. It wasn't just because we wore the red, black, and green. It was because that programs were being instituted. There was a commitment from the men and women and the children in the community that we were going to uplift ourselves. We were going to do business with each other. We were going to create these entrepreneurial and educational enclaves in our various cities, and it resonated throughout the entire United States, from the West Coast to the East Coast. So that potential power that was attempting to be displayed was met with what? Counterintelligence,
Yep.
traitors. It was met with violence, assassinations, murders. So, uh, as we move forward as new Africans, we are saying that the power to define ourselves, to name ourselves, all wrapped up with all those things we always talk about, Brother Prophecy. It's real. It's not a phrase. It's not a fad or a fashion that runs through the community from time to time. It's like a lifelong mission, because we have to be able to embed into the children, and I'm always going to say this, into our children and our children's children, the vision that we have a land, we're entitled to this land. We have to build the power from within, and I mean within ourselves, within the family community, and that power looks mighty, and it's unstoppable if we speaking and moving in with one mind, one voice, one aim, one destiny, one God, as Garvey says. So that word power is resonating. It's resonating now, resonating in this time. How do we seize power? Not just military power, on all levels, as we're fond of saying. I yield.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. So when we say these things, it's not just a catchphrase. There's serious meaning behind them. They're very important. So yeah, Black Power wasn't just a cute catchphrase. It sounded good when you say it. It meant like real power. That the power to control our lives and control our destiny, called self-determination. Uh,
And
but
can I just add one thing?
yes,
And,
yes.
and if we see how expensive it is, you
Hmm.
know, when we don't utilize it the way we need to utilize and keep it for self, and we have the lack of power, we I believe our oppression continues because of what we do with our power. It's extremely expensive. It is life or death. So I don't want us to put these words and what we're saying on a shelf as if it does not matter, as if right here in this second our people are not suffering in some way, manner, or fashion. If you yourself and I are not suffering in some way, manner, or fashion. So we have to start taking this extremely because it is very, very serious, very detrimental, y'all. If you want to lock in, if you want to do more, You know, link in with one of us. You know, let's
Yeah,
get to work.
definitely, definitely. And I think you brought up a really, really important point because a lot of times, we say these things, we say these words, and we get comfortable. It just gets normalized. It gets something a feel good statement. But like you said, there's real consequences behind the lack of power. There are people who are not here because of a lack of power, because our communities are vulnerable, because we don't have control over the industry in the institutions in our community, then our communities are always targeted for whatever comes down the pike. And under capitalism, it's a predatorial system, and it preys on the most vulnerable of its population. And when you don't have control over your own community, then your community is vulnerable. That's why you see the poverty, the drugs, the crime, the poor health condition, all of these negative things in our community. So that whole thing about we lack power and the need for Black power is serious. It's not just a catchphrase. Like you said, it's a matter of life and death. But Sama, Madam President, what we got on tap for the show today?
Okay, well, for our main topic, we're going to be talking about how do we create unity? How do we build
Mhm.
unity? Because y'all know that's a word that's been thrown out there like it's absolutely means nothing as well, as if we comprehend it, which obviously we don't. On a large
Mhm.
scale, I mean, we got to start living our reality versus our fairy tale world. Reality, okay? If we're going to solve any problems, we got to deal from reality. So we're going to deal with that unity, that word. How do we create it? And then in the Black Power File, we are going to be honoring Maurice Bishop. And then Audrey Horner, we're going to be going over one of my favorite books, The Spirit of Intimacy by Simone Fusome. It revolves around showing us from our perspective how to build unity. So these are going to be really, really good. Unity. So it's going to be very good subject matters. But first, what's going on in the news? I know it's some.
It's
Always,
always
Always.
it's always
always.
something. It's always something. I start with something that not as bad. So, um, there are two brothers, two black men who were accused of the murder of Malcolm X, which were exonerated last year because the government, specifically the CIA, FBI, always knew exactly who killed Malcolm X, and they've been protecting who killed Malcolm X for the last 50 plus years. Well, they received or was granted $36 million recently because they sued for false imprisonment and da 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 da. And they just received, they were granted $36 million. Now, these two brothers, Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam, which I mean, basically, families have suffered greatly because they have been incarcerated for over 50 years. Now, there's a documentary that I know it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It's called "Who Killed Malcolm X," and it's a mind blowing documentary because it shows FBI files. They're basically saying that they knew exactly who were the trigger men, and that they had specific instructions to hide the identity of these individuals because the day in which Malcolm X was assassinated, the FBI was present. In fact, they set up shop a day before. So yeah, it's real interesting. I would encourage everybody to go watch that documentary. Just see what you think about it. It's called "Who Killed Malcolm X," and it should be on Netflix. But what do y'all have to say about this particular story?
I really, really think that this mirrors our whole society at present day. You understand what I'm saying? Um, a lot of times, us as Black people, new African people, we will say, "Well, other Black people are doing this to me. Other people that look just like me are my main enemies. This, that, the other." Of course, they would be your main enemies if the only training they've gotten was directly from your enemy. In every single institution, that's training to think, walk, breathe, move like the enemy. So that so we end up turning in on one another because we're maneuvering not like ourselves, but like our enemy. And so, and our enemy's hands be all up in, and will use us to the T. Use us, use our faces, use our names, even use our bodies sometimes, just to make it seem as though they are not the ones, and they are the ones. And we be not misled. I yield.
Definitely. Mama Ayo? Yeah.
Well, again, I find it very interesting. I am hearing, and it could have been possible, I'm saying I'm now hearing that they are suing for false imprisonment, wrong imprisonment. Have they been asking and saying these things for the last 50 years? Because
Hmm.
I've never heard that they say it wasn't us. It wasn't me. I was not doing that. I am innocent. Were they doing that prior?
Yeah. Yes. It's been, they've been, crying out. Just one of those things where um their cries have been going on deaf ears,
Right,
nobody's heard. But yes, they have. They've been, kicking on walls. And I think one of them actually died in prison.
right,
One of the
exactly.
individuals died in prison.
Exactly. So it is a very interesting dynamic because I'm always, and I hope we refer to this particular documentary as well, Economic Hitman 1 and 2.
Mm.
And I want us to always understand that when and if the CIA and the FBI decides that they want to bring down a personality, they put out all types of false information. Just like you said, things are not as straightforward as it should be. We already know, and we can say this with a grain of truth, that the CIA influenced Malcolm, the Nation of Islam, and it was like they did to the movement. They pitted one group against the other. There was false accusations. There was anger, whether they had an agent inside the organization or not, within the nation itself, or they were manipulating behind the scenes, bringing out false information. We know that at the end of the day, it's never any doubt that this was a CIA COINTELPRO operation. We just don't know who that melanated face was, the black man, the traitor, the step and fetch it, the coon that
Mhm.
carried out, or the coons that carried out the operation. That's our that's our only thing that we need to find out now. And in most cases, that's the scenario across the world. People
Yep.
who look like ourselves were the ones who carried out the action, but being funded, being led from behind the scenes by the enemy. I yield.
Yeah, and I would seriously advise everybody to like take a look at the documentary. I see Daniel looked like she's seen it because she was like that MF was walking around New Jersey for a minute too, because in the documentary, according to the documentary, the hit came out of New Jersey, and in New Jersey, this particular part of New Jersey, it was almost like a known secret that nobody talked about, because when the brother was doing the investigation, he was asking, and at first they was just talking about yeah, and then they figured out what he was talking about. He was like, well, brother, you might need to just leave it alone, because if they did what they said they do it, then they're being protected. So just leave that alone. It was like something that basically everybody knew, but everybody was afraid to kind of talk about it. And they actually showed the individuals on the film.
Mm-hmm.
One of the individuals, one of the main guys who had the shotgun, he actually passed away during the filming of this, and they was at his funeral. So it's like I say, it's quite shocking, just to look at this. So y'all are out there y'all get a chance to look at the documentary, tell us what you think about it, because like I
Absolutely.
said, it's quite interesting. But in other news, now last week we talked about how we talked about the brother Kanye West and how he was going through his thing and he was saying a lot of things, and he said some things that in my opinion was really disrespectful to George Floyd, because he basically said the police didn't kill him, that he died because of some drugs that was in his system and some more things. And people were upset because he had a White Lives Matter t-shirt on, which when you understand the context of everything and the whole reason why not the organization, but the phrase Black Lives Matter is relevant. I'm not talking about the movement. I mean, not the organization, but just, the idea that Black lives are not respected in this country. To have a White Lives Matter shirt on is really kind of disrespectful to, what they're actually supposed to represent. And we also talked about, he had some comments about Jewish people. Now, of everything, the disrespectful comments about Black people just made us mad. But the comment about Jewish people, that took money out of his pocket. He used to be a billionaire around this time this last week. Not no more. Companies, sponsorship, everybody has dropped him. They just taking everything away from this brother. They say, okay, you attack us, we're going to show you how true your comments actually are about who run the world. And there you go. So what do y'all think about this?
I mean, it's expected, and to me, that brother not real. He's not slow. I'm not saying all of his mental wellness is there, but no, with Black people across the board, all of our mental wellness is not there, right? Um, he knew that was gonna happen. He not slow. He knew he knew he knew exactly what was going. My thing is, when somebody puts themselves in a particular position to make particular moves, they know what their assets are. They know um how they will be liable with certain things. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have an element of surprise that's happening right now, but he already knew. He knew that if he did particular things, put himself in particular limelight, he studies repercussions enough, and he know who he's in business with. And I mean, I don't know. At this point, he knows all of that is on the line. That's just from my observation. I think he knows. Now he's finding out exactly what it looked like. It's a new experience, yet he still knows something, because he always talks about messiahs. He always has these comments about, he knows what happens to messiahs that step up and say, look, so.
Mario.
Oh, I don't like to have too many conversations about Kanye, because we know that he does have what I call traumatic experiences that have colored his reasoning. He came on the scene as a hip hop artist that was promoting many of the things that we're talking about, and somehow his life switched up. And my only comment is, when you lay down with dogs, you're bound to get fleas.
And that's true.
So
Real.
you working in this paradigm. We don't even know who you are and what you are at this particular point, because you stepped into what we call the demonic version of Hollywood. All that kind of life that you decided you want to lead with women, what we call sips. We're not going to get into that. And what do you expect? What do you expect from the community? What do you expect from the people who you came from? Your mama looking like us. What do you expect from us? What do you expect? I don't have no I'm not going to defend you. I'm not doing anything for you because you charted this path. You became very, very rich. What have you given back to your community except drama and a whole bunch of nonsense? Now, I will say that the statement white lives matter is true.
Yeah, it's obviously true.
You don't have to be offended because that's
Mhm.
the straight out truth. Whether you have a Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, that shirt that he wore told you the strict truth. I don't care what law, what blah blah blah. The foundation of this American soil is white lives matter. Point blank. Period. What you mad for? What you mad for?
Exactly.
I
And I feel
yield.
like what my bio said, to add to what she's saying, like whatever it is that you do and decide to do, there are repercussions for that. You know what I'm saying? When you decided to marry a whole white woman and have cast children, and you have it, and your mother looked like me, it's repercussions to that in terms of the black community and how black women are looking at. When you decide to, like Mama Io say, lay in the bed with fleas, hey, certain things are going to transpire, you know. And when you decide to speak up about certain things that you done seen, hey, it is what it is, especially when and you're going to see who is who. And I'm sure he has his whole lesson. I don't know that brother. I just know basic facts, like real on the surface facts. I don't know what's going through his mind, his head, his how he's rationalizing any of it. All I'm saying is, look, whatever you do, there are going to be repercussions for that. And if you decide you want to make some moves on behalf of black people, so you think, hey, and speak out against Jews who control your whole pocketbook, it's about to be interesting. I yield.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm with y'all a million percent. Uh, yeah, I mean, Kanye seemed like after his mother passed away, he, been kind of all over the place. Um, go to some of these comments. First of all, I want to thank everybody for checking in and give us some likes, share this, let everybody know what we're doing. We're trying to spread the conversation and, go to people. What's up, comrade Atiba? How you doing? You got some of these neo-Nazis behind the wall walking around with white lives matter tattoos tattooed on the backs of their heads. For real. Okay. Dang. So you got them Nazis walking around with it tatted on their heads. There you go, Kanye. Let me see. Daniel says Kanye been biting on some white nationalist rhetoric, and that's actually true. I mean, that's a good point to come out because he's really been hanging out with people like Candace Owens, which is really someone who is like a coon for the Republican Party. And that ain't really just no big deal because you got all kind of coons for the Democratic Party either. I don't care about neither one of them. We need to get off of these Republican versus Democrat. They both two wings of the same bird, and that bird is a bird of capitalism and oppression. And both of them trying to keep that bird afloat and preying on the people. So yeah, definitely he has been doing that. Of course, I see our comrade, Mister Stuff moving slow, y'all. I don't know why. Black Cloud, how you doing? This is my first time seeing you checking in, comrade. Free to land to you, brother, out of Miami.
Mhm.
Uh,
Free land, brother Black Cloud.
Joe Gonzalez, one love, brothers and sisters. All power to the people.
That's right.
Definitely, all power to the people. So
Can I just add one thing?
yes.
Look, this is real important for us as new African people. You know, hey, we can, because I feel like a lot of stuff just be look just a major distraction. You know, what I'm saying,
Mhm.
main thing that we need to be zeroed in and focus on is new African power, Black power, our power move. You know, take note of what's going around so we can be more offense versus the defense all the time. You know what I'm saying? Um, But yet we got we got some things that we need to be putting into place on this end, and the time is right now, like right now, like in the present, because we don't want to miss our opportunities, because we got major opportunities happening now based upon what's going on in the world, you know. So if we, the reason why we even look at the news is say, okay, this is the current state, and this is how we're going to be moving forward, you know.
Definitely, definitely. When you speak of things that we need to do, like right now, Saturday, uh, you and and Mama Ayo made a trip to see our people down in Jackson, Mississippi, to help deliver some supplies, much needed supplies for the people. So, how did everything go down in Mega Eversville, formerly known as Jackson, Mississippi?
It went fantastic, you know. We give thanks to our crew on the grounds there, Jackson, Mississippi. Iafalola, Bada, and Sister Sherelle helped us tremendously. We were able to secure 150 cases. Also, church here in Memphis. What's the name? Mama Pilgrim something.
Yeah, Pilgrim Rest Church.
Yes, Pilgrim Rest Church supplied 30 cases. So, you know, it was it was wonderful. 150 cases. We got to mainly to places where the residents didn't necessarily readily have transportation to get to water, or elder situation, or some apartment complexes that may have been um had some issues with transportation. So
Got
brother
you.
this was grateful. Um yeah, that was successful. Thank you everybody for who made donations. We
Yes,
successfully secured 150 cases plus 18 gallons plus some wipes.
yes, absolutely. And so
Definitely.
that was, yeah, I felt that that was successful because it did show that there was cooperative work and responsibility that was exhibited. Definitely cooperative economics um, gave us a chance to once again be in the land. This is, remember, the Republic of New Africa's capital, and to see how, uh, because the governor has been issued money for Mississippi. We know that Mississippi is critical to our 5 states. It has a large majority of Black townships, and how you have an evil person uh, kind of siphoning the money away from these communities and sending them to, you know, communities that look like him. And then of course, because of our legacy of the RNA being in Jackson itself, keeping critical funding that's helping the infrastructure. Now everybody else is getting funding, but you know, a major city like Medgar Eversville, Jackson doesn't get the funding, and it's taxpayers' money. That's what's so interesting about it. I don't care if you have a job or you don't have a job. You go and you pay your money, and taxes is taken out on everything from cigarettes, food, water, blah 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 blah. And this man who holds power from the governorship doesn't release funds to help with a basic right, y'all. Water, clean water that's not contaminated. That water, according to some of the reports, it's still smelling. If it starts raining, it might set up another potential leak in the water system. So yes, you might be able to wash your clothes, wash your, you know, wash your lawn, do the laundry, but basic drinking and cooking your food, uh, I'm not sure you want to do that.
Mm.
So, uh, groups are continuing to send clean water down, and like we said, we just did our little part. We just do our part the best way we can. I yield.
And we will continue to take donations. So if you still want to donate, you can send your donations to $PGRNA. Make sure you put Jackson Water in the description so we know where that's going to. So it won't go to the PGRNA tax. Now, if you want to send some PGRNA tax, you can do that too.
Definitely, 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 definitely. And like I said, we want to thank everybody who supported, who donated supplies and everything. And this is kind of how we have to work together collectively to solve our problem. This is the way. This is a real, live, active example of collective work and responsibility, which is part of our Kwanzaa principles. That's beautiful that our ancestors set forth principles that actually work for the people. But yeah, so what's our Cadre Corner coming up? What we got on the Cadre Corner?
Ooh. Amaya, you remember?
The Cadre Corner, of course, is a very, very, I think, a very, very beautiful book written by Sister out of Burkina Faso.
Yeah, we just want the name of it. We ain't finna do it yet, Mama.
Okay, we just want, it's called, of course, The Spirit of Intimacy. Now, what you think that means?
The Spirit of Intimacy. I'm curious about this because this is a book I have not read, so I'm about to learn some stuff. I love to learn some stuff, y'all. But we'll be right back after this. This is the New African Perspective. Free the land, y'all. Free the land.
America, full of promises. Time to cash them in. You run from it quick. You never keep your word. I learned from it quick. You keep abusing me. You're dumb. Europeans murdered 98% of the indigenous population right here in Turtle Island in order to steal the land. An entire nation of African people were captured and forced into a brutal system of chattel slavery just so they could work and cultivate the land. All wars are fought over land. Not over terrorism, not over religion, not even to win the hearts and minds of the people, but for the actual land and the resources within the land. So it is safe to say that land is the foundation to all freedom. So if we truly want to be free, then our struggle is for land. Free the land.
Study the writings, speeches, documents of our freedom fighters.
I'm sorry, y'all. I did that prematurely, but it's on you, Mama Ayo. Hold on, you're okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so Free the Land, comrades. The book today, of course, is The Spirit of Intimacy. And once again, ancient African teachings in the ways of relationships. Because remember, we work under the Ministry of Health and Society, and we are trying to create, remember, new African ways of making sure that we have what we call divine relationships, wholesome relationships, because we don't have many good examples if you're looking for the system that has been oppressing us for 400 years. They've broken those systems down. So this book, of course, is by a woman, Sobonfu Some. And she is a beautiful woman out of Burkina Faso. And we just related the experiences in village life, the village life in which she came, and how we have a perception of how it should be when you marry, when you are creating your families within a village setting, within the new an African society, and how conflict resolution, issues with the marriage are spoken about, how rituals and cleansings and community involvement are handled from a communal level, from a communal perspective. And it's a beautiful book. It talks about, for one thing that resonated with me with this book is that you understand that as an African being on the planet, God is within everything, and that the spiritual part of you mating and marrying a couple is that the couple are not considered separate from the village. It's like a remating, a reconnection with the village life. You are responsible to the village, and the village is responsible to you. It is a symbiotic relationship. And so from time to time, mechanisms are set up. If there are some issues within the relationship, if there are some patterns that the village sees, you go through your families, because you are remembering you come from two different clans, and yet those clans are now mated through bloodlines uniting through that particular kinship, and addressing issues, so that at the end of the day, you can be the best self, your mate can be the best self, and the village doesn't have uh issues, anger, uh, major contradictions within the functioning of the whole. Remember our New African Creed. We believe that the community is more important than the individual. And when we say individual, in this case, the spirit of intimacy, we're talking about that couple, that nuclear family, which really is an extended family from a New African perspective. So I encourage you, if you are in a relationship, you're already married, that you and your mate go through this book paragraph by paragraph and talk about the information in the book. It is what I call a releasing and a remembrance of who and what you are on the planet. And with that, the spirit of intimacy, free the land.
The spirit of intimacy. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Where can we get this book?
Like I always tell you, you better order it from Amazon, Thrift Books, Books for Less, Maximilian Books, etc., etc., etc. Recently, she's married to, his name is Maladoma, Patrice Somé. So the both of them wrote together. Of course, he's passed over the summer, but he also wrote a book called Of Water and Spirit, and it actually explains a little bit on, he was taken away from his village by so-called missionaries. You know that story, y'all, and
Mhm.
how he was disconnected from the village and had to literally, um, after he was grown up and had his so-called miseducation, how he had to reconnect with the village, the spirit of the village, because there's a disconnection, and that likens us to New African people here in this landmass. You taken away from your parent, of course, your culture, your language, your customs, all of that was taken away, and how we have to struggle to get back to that paradigm. So I mean, knowledge, information, remembrance, it never stops. It never, ever stops. I yield. Yes.
Wow. Excellent, excellent, Cadre Corner. The spirit of intimacy. Check it out. It's important because it really seems like it really gets at the heart of building a healthy union, which is the foundation of the man, woman, and child, which is the foundation of the nation, which you're going to be talking about things like that tomorrow on our brand new show. Um, but the foundation of family being the foundation of the nation, which is the foundation of the community, uh, which leads us to our topic. Because the one thing we need in our families, in our community, our nation, and race is unity. So, how can we achieve unity? And I open it up to anybody who want to jump in.
Well, I wanna just add to, coming from that book, the spirit of intimacy, it's really really great. Not only with just our relationship with our men and women that are courting each other, but our relationships with all those that are within the village, our relationships with spirit, and our relationships with all encompassing, right? That book is extremely important. And in unity, in building unity, those relationships is what is important. Reconnecting, consummating our community relationships, meaning also inferring that, look, the reason why we from my observation, right, one of the main things that we are lacking is clear communication. Communication, the root word is commune.
Mm,
And
definitely.
unit is in that too. Unication, right? So clear, concise communication is extremely important. We always talk about giving real responses versus being reactionary. And you tend to be reactionary when you're not communicating very well, or you being extremely selfish within yourself because you want to cut other people off, or you're jumping to conclusions before you get all information. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And a lot of times we do that with one another. We'll make assumptions about how about somebody is responding. We don't, not knowing the person, not really knowing their why, not really knowing their story, not really knowing their traumas, and we'll make these assumptions. And it can be a lot of expensive things on the table. What I mean expensive things, I'm talking about us institution building. Us really getting saying, look, we're coming together, we're sitting at the table and we're going to get this done, and we have our objectives laid out and our goals, and then something to happen. These are the things that we are identifying as being issues. That's why that book is extremely important, to teach us how to relearn how to connect with each other, even when our backgrounds are different, or even with the reason why we do certain things are different. We have to be willing to make sure our end goal is number one, and the principles that we stand on is number one, beyond any interpersonal problem that we may have, any mental illness aspect that we may have. We need to be doing that work with one another, making sure our communication is clear, making sure that we are not reactionary in our responses, but we actually give a full, thorough response, making sure that we have gathered all information before we even respond. You know what I mean? And coming, looking at our brother and sister in 100% love. I love you. If I really, really, really love you, I'm going to take the time in communication. If I feel like it's, because remember, it's expensive. We got major things on the table. You know,
mm,
breakdown in communication can be life or death for us. And it has been life or death because we see that. That's what we see. That's what we look at in our villages and communities every single day. It's been death for us. Our people are not thriving. We are not thriving the way we should. So it's certain things that are not being spoken. It's certain things that are that are being misunderstood as we catapult forward. You know what I'm saying? And we got to clarify that, because that's the only way that we're going to create unity, is if we have enough compassion for ourselves and for each other, and to be empathizing enough to get down to the bottom of whatever, because this person that we're working with is extremely important. Because if we stand on collective leadership, right? Our brother and sister who is a part of the team is important for us to execute. And we've seen that, where things are blown up and those important people fizzle out because we needed them. And
mhm.
the institution doesn't get built, or it dissolves. I'm just saying it's detrimental. Let's work on it.
Definitely, definitely. I see you didn't have very much to say on this subject. They're being sarcastic. But
I,
yeah,
I
definitely.
talk too much. Sorry.
Oh no, 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 no. That was extremely, extremely important. Yeah, I don't even know if you realize it, but you and Adonia having a conversation, because she responding to everything you saying. She up there catching the Holy Ghost, like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, big shouts out to Adonia. Mama Ayo, so how can we achieve uh unity?
I don't think you can unify with anybody until you unify with yourself. You have
Mm,
to recognize your weaknesses. You have to recognize your strengths, and definitely have an understanding and an overstanding of how we got to be in this position. We have, just because we're part of a new African independence movement and we've decided that our life's mission is to make sure that we're on this track, does not guarantee everybody else is on that track. One of
mm,
our goals is to reach as many as you can and hope that they are in unity with you, that they believe that in the as we say, for Imani, that we believe in the righteousness of this struggle. There are some people that don't because of the trauma that they've experienced. They're going to always want to be with the massa. They are. They identify with the massa. They want to serve the massa. They always want to say, yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir, massa. They always going to do that. There will always be some like that. There may be a great more majority than we feel that we know, because that's their indoctrination and nobody has unlocked that remembrance. Then there's going to be others, they know, they've been educated, they're able to analyze the situation. They don't want to be participatory. They don't want to be participatory. They want to get their money and they want to live good lives, and they don't want to even live amongst their people. But they know. They know. And then you have those who are on this mission with us, and they have trauma just like anybody else, everybody else. And the things that President Sa has spoken about, doing that work, making sure that we really, really, really aren't overly independent as women, knowing that we need our male counterparts, the brothers knowing that our voices are just as important as their voices, because we have some brilliant masterminds. We may not have the physical strength that the brothers are here on the planet to exude for us, but we definitely have masterminds, or you wouldn't have had women kings and women rulers, because we see the world from a different dichotomy. It doesn't mean that it's better. It just means that we are to be in unity with our kingsmen and our brothers and our comrade warriors. And those are the battles that we struggle with, because we're stepping in as the Republic of New Africa in many paradigms. And at this particular time in its history, you have more women in the leadership role. It doesn't mean that all of us aren't in the leadership role, but we are the face, per se, of the Republic of New Africa. And that unity comes with egoism from male and female. It comes with a feeling of we can't reason. It always becomes my word or no word. We can never come into the room and say, are we sitting at the table because we're trying to free the land? That's the question that we're facing. We believe that you have the right to self-determination. That's a human right. But are we in unity at the end of the day to free the land? Because we said the land is the power and the power is the people. Are we in unity about freeing the land? Because somebody will continue to talk, but we'll never start building those institutions. We'll never start changing the narrative and the rhetoric. That's who we want to build with, and that means alliances, confederations, all of that. And that's the call. That's that call right now. That's that unity of mind, which creates a unity of action. And it goes back to our rebuild strategy. Are you studying? Are you studying, remembering, doing the work and training to get to that point? Because we're always accused of being armchair revolutionaries. That's not what the unit is for. That's not what the unit is for. And I'm gonna say it a third time. That's not what unit is for.
Yes.
I yield.
Exactly. Really quickly, Brother Prophecy. I know, look, we on no soapbox today. Look,
Do your thing.
we got a lot to say on this topic. You know what I'm saying? Because look, when you're actively doing the work, because remember the medicine is in the work. And so if we've been in units teaching ourselves and work study and training, teaching ourselves to training ourselves to be uh working in collectives, right? The power in the collective leadership. We're training ourselves because remember, we're coming from a very individualistic standpoint. So we're training ourselves, and the work is in the medicines in the work. We're working on different projects. We're seeing what happens. We're seeing what happens when in the dichotomy and in the ins and outs of communicating and communing with one another. in our hard attempt, right? An intention to create unity, like real strong unity. And we're seeing the internal work that each of us has to do. Like Mama Ayo said, if you do not have unity within thyself, and the ancients say, know thyself and heal thyself, that's your first rule. Unity of self. African spirituality covers it all the time. Unity of self and all the different aspects of self. Your head, your heart, your feet, huh? All the angelic forces of nature that dwell within you, unified, so that you can fulfill your mission and purpose. And loving yourself, respecting yourself enough to love and respect. Because when you love and respect yourself, you automatically love and respect your brother and your sister. You know what I'm saying? So look, we got to do that work. The medicine isn't the work. The power in the collective leadership. That's what it's about. We are people of the divine. We are people of universal law and order. There's absolutely nothing in universal law and order that works alone. Everything works in a family dynamic. Everything works collectively. And if we are going against that grain, we are going to lose. That's why we are putting into practice. We got to get out of our bad habits, put into practice of working together, moving together, despite by keeping what's relative on the table, what's relevant on the table, right? Our goals and objectives, number one, and principles. That's what we are committed to. And we can be committed to each other because we're committed to principle and with a goal and objective. Yeah.
Okay, I had a lot to say about this particular subject. That's because unity is extremely important. And I guess my little 2 cents that I put in, and so I'll start with something you said. One of the most important things that we could do is master the science of communication, because that's extremely important, because the foundation of any relationship is communication. If communication breaks down, then the relationship is break down. Everything is over. Once you and your mate stop communicating, your relationship is over. Period. So we have to understand how to communicate. And one, I guess, tool that can help us a lot within this is something that we talked about some shows back. It's called criticism, self-criticism. Understanding how to utilize this tool will help us out a whole lot, because it teaches us not to take things personally. It teaches us to approach things from the mindset of trying to make the collective, make the unit, make the family, make the relationship better. It distinguishes the difference between being constructive and being destructive. So just utilizing these principles and these tools that are already at our hands, especially if you're in a unit, we're taught these things. And that's why work training and study is so important, so you can be exposed to these type of things. Because a lot of people are not exposed to these things. You don't know, and you're just going off of raw emotion and how you've been raised and how you've been conditioned to communicate and interact with each other. And if you're in a European-centric capitalistic world, then chances are you have not been trained and conditioned to communicate with each other on a loving, respectful, building nature. It's quite the opposite in this society. So that's one thing. Another thing that I will say is we have to be clear about our understanding of unity and what that is. Because the reality is, Black people can unite. Black people unite all of the time. It ain't even hard. It seems like it's hard, but it's not hard, because we do it every day. You want to see Black people unite? Play one of them electric slide songs. Everybody will be in unison, doing the same thing, the same step. You've never seen somebody, but you right beside them doing the same step. The problem is, what are we uniting over? That's the thing. And from our perspective, unity can't be like a kumbaya, pie in the sky, everything is, type of, situation. We have to look at things from a practical or reality sense. And you can't, you can only unite with people who have a similar mindset. You have to unite with people who are like-minded. If I believe in the independence of New Africa and I'm trying to establish a independent Black nation, and you're actually trying to reform the system, when we unite, it ain't gonna work. Because I'm gonna be trying to do this and I'm gonna be trying to do this. We might agree on what the problem is, but we gotta agree, we gotta come to an agreement on what the solution is, and we got to unite on the solution, because that's where the work is gonna come in. We got to do work on the solution. We can articulate the problem all day, and guess what? Tomorrow the problem's still gonna be here. But until we do put in some action and put forth the plan and act upon that plan on the solution, nothing ever gets accomplished. So we got to work with the people who already have the same mindset. That means sometimes you just got to cut people out of your life. You got to realize, okay, this, and a lot of times it puts the burden on the leadership, which that's where the burden should be in the first place, to create things for people to do, because everybody's not meant to be in leadership. Some people are meant to just be soldiers. They're meant to be like, okay, I set this up to do, and this is what I need you to do. I need you to take that water from point A to point B. That's what I need you to do. We're doing a media, trying to make a media empire. You know what I need you to do? I need you to post this from here in these 3 places. This is what I need you to do. I don't need you to speak. I don't need you to I don't need you to come up with plans. I don't need you to do all these type of things. I need you to do point A, point B. So it's a matter of being scientific in our approach on all levels, because science or revolution is a science. It's not something that we leave up to chance, not something that is emotional. It's something that we can feel good or be angry and bust our way out of it. No, we have to take an intellectual, scientific approach to everything we do, because if you do that, then you understand where the outcome is, and when the outcome doesn't get there, we analyze it and we address it and we correct it and we move forward. So yeah, unity is important, but a lot of times it can be frustrating, especially when you've been doing this work for so very long, and you've been exposed to certain things. And sometimes when you have been exposed to so much, and when you have trained so much, and when you have read so much, you automatically expect other people to see the things that you see. But that's just not the reality. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't went through what you went through to get to the place you are. So we kind of have to understand where people are when we meet them, and we utilize that for where they are, not for where we want them to be or even where we need them to be. So yeah, unity is really important, but I always tell everybody, as frustrating as it gets, don't, try not to be frustrated, because this is just part of the process. That's why we're here at NABA, the New African Perspective, so we can continue to educate, elevate, grow collectively together as a family, and spread this good old knowledge, and help to re-indoctrinate our people, get rid of that colonized mindset, and impregnate our minds with some revolutionary independent ideology, so we can build a better future collectively. And I yield with that.
Respect that process.
I say,
Respect the process. Fall in love with the process.
Fall in love with the process.
Please.
Damn right. Fall in love with the process. Exactly. So we got a Black Power file coming up next, and unfortunately my computer just went down on me. I need to buy new equipment. So newsflash, I'm kind of cheap, y'all. So, but I was gonna play a clip from Maurice Bishop, but I can't do it because my computer's down. But when we get back, we're gonna talk about some Maurice Bishop right after this. This is the New African Perspective. Free the land.
I fight for land, independence, and for reparation. We gotta do for self-determination.
Being independent is a very, very good thing, because it means that you don't have to be dependent, especially on people who don't like you. I mean, growing your own food. like teaching your own babies our real history, the real truth.
As a people, we are not grown unless we have independence. We are not grown as long as we living under another man's system, operating in his way of things, his laws, and his ordinances that support his rule, actually. So to me, it's not the importance of self-determination and independence. It is mandatory.
Or we could make a change, get off our ass, do something else. Go get some land together, grow our food and do for self. Leaders, scholars, freedom fighters, all those soldiers who've been struggling for the liberation of black people.
Cut off again. Okay, all right. I don't know why I keep doing that. Probably me. But yeah, so today's Black Power file is none other than our brother in the struggle, the late great Maurice Bishop, who recently, just the 19th, marks the anniversary of his assassination, right? So Maurice Bishop, Mama Aya, because I see Saz now on the stream right now. What you got to say about Maurice Bishop?
As typical, that we've been talking about the different leaders around the world that try to participate in liberation movements. Here, this brother, he was born in Aruba. He spent lots of his time in Grenada. One of the things that I appreciated about his journey is, like with so many of the freedom fighters, they didn't just stay in their countries. They obtained education, they traveled, and just like Garvey, come to a political assessment of the condition of the people. And of course, you know that his background was really Marxist-Leninist. So he wanted to apply those universal principles in Grenada. And of course, his legacy is that, you know, he's in the party. He got a chance to depose the former ruler. And of course, like most people, rose to power, but they did not allow him to obtain or keep that power, because his program was definitely, he wanted to make sure that the people came with socioeconomic upliftment. So of course, you always want to include, you know, uplift the people's social conditionings. But one of the things that I appreciated about him is that he promoted education, as most of us do. And then he said one of the main things that he wanted to do was to promote Black liberation. So right there, you already know. Just like we said, the statement, white lives matter, colonial lives matter, you know, European power matters. Of course, they had internal contradictions, and of course, anytime there's an internal contradiction, you always have to look, where is this coming from? And of course, CIA backed, led, etc., etc. And he ended up losing his life by the time he was 39, to the point where not only did he lose his life, the manner in which he lost his life, they executed him by firing squad. And then it was reported that somebody cut his finger off to remove his ring. And other people in his cabinet at the time, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 other people, went missing and have not been found to this day. And it kind of reminded me of what happened to Patrice Lumumba, where they actually put his remains in acid. And there was one soldier that cut a finger off of him as a war trophy. Y'all, really? War trophy. So I'm just saying that his intent to uplift during that time, the 70s, 80s, same scenario. Kill them before they grow, as Marley's song says. Kill them before it grows. And here's another example. I yield.
Indeed, yes, indeed, and we honor this brother. We honor him for having the wisdom and the courage to stand on other brothers and sisters' shoulders, because like Mama Io said, he was well learned. He traveled to many different places. I know he more than likely held close to his heart, since he was out of the Caribbean, looked to Cuba a lot in terms of cash world in terms of Che Guevara. I know those was probably some heavy influences in his world. And then I also read that he because he studied and studied the political arena and what it really looked like. Um, he also got a lot of his socioeconomic ideas from um Nyetta in Tanzania with the Ujama economic system in terms of what that looked like, and also pulled from Fanon. So the brother was well learned. It's not like he just said, "Oh, I'm about to." He recognized the wrongs, but he also did his research so that he could be more scientific about his movements. You know what I'm saying? Yet at some point he had to move. Sometimes you can't wait. You got to run with the information that you have because it's at this point or never. So, we big up him for all of his efforts in the revolutionary history of the world, right? You understand what I'm saying? For new Africans, for Black and our Pan-African diaspora. And we give thanks, we salute.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. If I'm not mistaken, didn't the United States invade Grenada like right after he got assassinated? Yeah, like
With
a day.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
Yep.
Ronald Reagan. Next day, the
Yep.
next day, I think, or something like that. But when you have real leadership,
Mm-hmm.
real African leadership that takes over and removes the neo-colonialized puppets of the Western world in the United States, that becomes an extreme threat to global capitalism, to global imperialism, to colonialism. And European people have stated on records, United States presidents have stated on records about how they can never have independent African nations. This is part of the agenda to make sure they don't have independent African nation, especially ever since Haiti's got their independence. So when you hear about the gruesome murders of our brothers who are actually about real change, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, these are examples of how when you always talk about this land of the free and we're trying to spread democracy and all of that BS, they're trying to protect U.S. interests. They're trying to protect their capitalistic stronghold over the richest continent in the world, point blank. When we look at the conflict and all the drama that goes down in Africa, it's always in a particular area that has vast natural resources. This is what it's about. And that's why I'm glad you brought up that book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, because they break down their how they do this, how they go in and how they break the country apart, how they use their propaganda to turn the people against the leadership, and how if none of that work, they just go out and kill them. So yeah, Maurice Bishop, another example of a true leader who actually trying to do right by the people. And when you try to do right by the people, you get attacked viciously. We can say, well, yeah, he got killed by this, and the next day, it just so happened the next day the United States invade their country. Like one don't have something to do with the other.
Very interesting. You draw that line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll yield right there. You have anything else you want to say? Because we're hitting over an hour. And I think we had a Black Tablet show up. You know what? We can get to some of these. Can you see these comments, Mama Ayo?
No.
Okay.
No.
I can't hardly see them myself. But I'm gonna try to read it. Danya says, "Great live, y'all. Relationships are fundamental. What's reflected in our homes is so in our people, and when we can build in our homes, it's also reflected in our people." That's right. Very excellent comment.
That's correct.
Definitely. And
Thank you for that comment, because There is an old African proverb, and I'm sure that some of you have seen some of these, but they say the ruin of a nation begins in the homes of the people.
Mm.
So that was a very, very apropos statement. It
E-
starts at home and spreads abroad. So that, thank you for that, Sister Dr.
Exactly. That's why we always say the foundation of the Black nation is the family. Point blank, the family. Let's see, right? She talked to Atiba. Unity for what? Unity for the sake of unity. We are already united in our oppressive conditions. What we need is unity of principles indeed. Definitely, definitely,
Exactly.
definitely. Our oppression basically, yes, it definitely unites us. We are united by a common oppression and a common oppressor.
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Let's say. See, Tiba said that's also a great book to read and study. Kill them before they grow. Yeah, and
Yep.
you spoke on this. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I mean,
See.
everything. There's just so many strategies and tactics, and we're so used to buffering all of those strategy and tactics. It's like we're on a total like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it. I just know I'm suffering. My people are suffering. I don't want to have to analyze it. I don't want to have to do the work to get us up out of there. I'm looking on the Messiah to come, not knowing that the Messiah is in each and every one of us.
Yep.
Each and every one of us. Really,
Yep.
y'all. For real, for real.
Messiah came into existence when you were born.
Thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so definitely. So I think we did it again, y'all. Another excellent show. Thank everybody for chiming in because you make the show so much better, y'all. But y'all have any final words before we get out of here? I'm gonna go to
Yes,
you. You can
yeah,
go, Mama.
yes, before we leave, we wanted to definitely make sure we send a big shout outs, kudos to brothers and sisters in Medgar Eversville, the nation's capital. When we talked about collective work and responsibility, that unity that we were able to establish, we met with Commander Sherelle, who really was very instrumental in helping us navigate the various places to drop off the water, the procurement of the water, and of course, just her being on the grounds, the boots on the ground. She is one of the commanders of the new Black Panther Party located in Jackson. And we wanted to make sure that that's our comrade sister, and big kudos to her, you know, that unity being built and reestablishing connections, because we know that all new African independent movements have been infiltrated, including our own. And for for us to reunite and reconnect, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, and just to set our, to be able to speak heart to heart, same purpose, same mission. That's what we're looking for. So it was a great day, great day, great day.
Yes, great day. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you all for all the work and the efforts that you all personally put in to make this happen. And it's just going to hopefully continue to grow with what we're doing with NAVA and the people in the community, because this is not our thing, y'all. This is our thing. This is a collective work. We're trying to build something real, and ultimately we're trying to change the world, y'all. And for Madam President Samat, Mama Ayo, Vice President, and I'm your host, Brother Prophecy. Free the land, y'all. Free the land. See y'all next week.
I will.
Definitely.
If you could see what I see, our community and unity, no frustration from brutality, with our Black nation a reality.
This is my perspective, it's my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my perspective, my